Good day, everyone. Welcome to the Leap into AI, a Quantum Leap Solution Series podcast. I am your host, Jacob Lubert, the founder of Quantum Leap AI Solutions. On this show, we're going to dive deep into how technology leaders and IT innovators operate today and discuss a little bit about how artificial intelligence is shaping the way that we'll work tomorrow. So, last episode, we sat down with Jacob Sanders from 180 Pros, a leader in the MSP space. Today, we sit down with Robert Joseph, and we'll get to him in a few minutes here, and let him introduce himself. Robert, you are with StepAheadSolutions Incorporated. You can find out more about them at stepaheadsolution.com. So so you know, basically, Robert, the entire idea behind this podcast, from my business's point of view, is we offer a variety of AI solutions that could pretty much benefit any industry, but we don't know what we don't know. So one of the ideas that we had when we got the company going is I wanted to get a podcast stood up to talk with folks such as yourself in a variety of different industries. I started myself uh, as a level one technician in the help desk, and have a strong military background. So I am a little bit familiar with the government side and some of the government contracting piece. And as I mentioned, I mean, we've been talking to some MSP leaders. We're going to be talking to some people even in like the e-discovery and legal space. We're going to go all across the map. But today, we're here to talk with you, and you are in kind of more of the government contracting space, correct? With you guys deal with the cybersecurity maturity model compliance. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, definitely yes. Anyway, thanks a lot, Jacob, for having me in your podcast, and it's a pleasure to be with you. And I'm really excited to talk about the AI influence in what we are doing currently. And just to give you a brief snapshot about us, we are based out in San Jose, California, and being in the Silicon Valley, it's pretty much most of my time had to be in the enterprise applications, data warehousing, and BI. And I never really got into the contracting for a very long time. Only quite recently I got into it. And when I was there, we were kind of introduced into a new program that they had. They said, about 6 to about almost 7 years ago, they said a new program is going to be initiated related to cybersecurity, be interested in participating in that program, and that's how I got into it. And in course of my deployments, it's always security has been a cornerstone of everything that I've been doing. So I thought that this will be a good transition. So I took this up, and then later on it came to be as what it is right now known as CMMC. It kind of started 7 years ago, and I was part of the initial nascent team that was put together, and we got first trained in NIST 800 171, and then got into the actual implementation part of the controls and what CMMC is all about. And then when I was doing that, I found it's really a fascinating thing to do, because one of the reasons behind the federal government adopting this framework was, despite all the top-notch cybersecurity tools and the top-notch resources, the systems were still infiltrated. They found there were holes all over. And even the colonial pipeline hack, and there was a hack that happened in Department of Defense a few years ago. All this kind of opened up, and in a very big way, that they have to take a very different approach to it, and that's what CMC is all about. And me coming out from a totally commercial background into a federal, and the federal language is so different, the regulations are so different. If I was able to get my hands wrapped around it in a pretty quick way manner, I think I owe it a lot to AI. because without AI, it would have been very difficult for me. So I had to actually go through a humongous amount of data to actually see what it is, and I had to use AI in a very intrusive way to find out exactly what it is. And we started building the LLMs around the data that we were looking at to get clear, crisp ideas behind it and what it is. So that's what we are doing. And as we get along this conversation, I will reveal how AI was so instrumental in what we did.
No, that's fantastic, and thank you for the background. So you mentioned to me when you emailed back and forth that you were one of only 480 certified CMMC assessors in the country, correct? So
Yeah.
what would you say was one of the biggest challenges in becoming one of those?
See, the assessor program is it's one of the toughest certifications in my experience of over 30 years. I've been through a lot of certification exams and preparations, but this is extraordinarily tough. The reason behind it is, the way they question you is not, it's not something that you can memorize and reproduce. It has to do a lot with your practical insight and experience in the technology and also in the space that you're operating in. Everything is based on a scenario based question. It's an high stakes certification exam. When one of the town hall calls I had with the Cyber AV recently, they said out of 110 people who did the exam in the month of July or August, only about five of them passed. So you can see how very tough it is. And as for me, also it took almost four attempts for me to get through this. So it was not really easy because you know the unique nature of CMMC is more than the implementation, more than the framework, it's actually the implementation. And every customer, their technology is different, their processes are different, the way they approach their market, their customers, everything is very different. So everything has to be specific to that environment. So you can take the framework and then apply it, and you got to apply it very specific to their domain. So that is the most challenging part of the whole thing. It's not that easy. So, and then, the way we look at the whole CMMC itself, the focus is shifted from the systems, the people, and it kind of just shifts into the information flow itself. Right from the time the sensitive information reaches your doors until it finally leaves, everything is tracked, irrespective of who's accessing it. So you got to have a very different mindset, very different approach towards the problem that we are familiar with. That's the tricky part of this whole CMMC SSR certification.
Yeah, it definitely sounds very very complicated in that sense. Why, just kind of a high level question, when it comes to just compliance in general, why do you believe that compliance is often overlooked until it actually becomes a crisis? Like what's your take on that?
This is what I typically see with many customers. Most of the time when I was doing enterprise deployments, they were all very large Fortune 500 companies, very large companies were doing a lot of massive IT projects. They do have a lot of processes and things in place. Still, a lot of things can be had out. It can just get rolled over without proper authorizations, without proper approvals, and a lot of things get overseen. Something like, if I can give you an example, a lot of external people come in to do the development work typically in an organization. A lot of them are contractors who are coming in and doing it. So different contracting teams and different types of people who come and do the work. Everybody likes to protect their work. They like to have as long They want to be with that organization as long as possible. So when they do the coding, though there are coding principles and directions, they still do not document their coding well enough. So what happens is when they leave and the next person comes in, they have to start from ground zero. So what CMC in turn does is no matter what you do, every bit gets documented, every bit gets validated and approved, and there is a person who you got to account for at the end. So this, the accountability that is enforced at every level. So you just simply cannot say, yeah, we are doing it, but you got to prove that you're doing it, and you got to show evidence of everything that you're doing. So that takes you at an entirely different level. So when that happens, even the top-notch organizations, even though they might have the top-notch resources, if this kind of accountability is not tracked, then you're going to lose perspective of what is happening. You can have the best cybersecurity tools, best people, still things will get overlooked.
No, that makes sense. So from your vantage point, I think you mentioned this to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in order to do business with the government, these entities have to be CMMC compliant, correct? Is that correct now?
Yeah, exactly. See, what is happening is in the defense industrial base, there are over 300,000 companies, firms that are delivering different products, different types of products and services and solutions. Now, of that, less than 5% are compliant today, and they are the very large ones like Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman. But other than that, 95% of them are not compliant. So they need to first get to know and adopt this. So that is a big challenge. Now, of those 300,000 companies, close to 80,000 of them are on active contracts as of today. They are running projects, DoD
Okay.
projects, 80,000 of them. So November 10th, everything is freezing. All contracts stop on November 10th. Now they got to go back and make sure they are at least level one assessed, self-assessed. So they got to do that, and they need to enter that information in the system. They have an internal system where they collect all this information, and they need to enter that information over there, and then they are going to look at your cage code and validate it and say, oh, you have now said that you are self-assessed at level one, so that we can therefore trust you with federal contract information. So that gives them the validity to deal with that kind of an information. Now, in case they say they have done that, and there is a leak somewhere, and the government figures out that they said they are compliant, and now something got compromised because through them they can then audit your system, and if they find that you're truly not compliant, they can charge you on the False Claims Act. This is being enacted, it's being mandated, so everybody is subject to a False Claims Act if they say they do and they don't. So that is the biggest thing. So now we have these 80,000 companies. These 80,000 companies need this. Now there are only around 80 C3PAOs approved by the government to do the assessment. 80. So
Wow.
80,000. Okay, 80 and 80,000. That's each assessor has about 1,000 C3 companies to do it. It's impossible. They cannot do it. No way. Okay. And then now these 80 assessors, they cannot do their job without an assessor. CCAs. There are around 480 to less than 500 of them right now. It should be. There are only that many assessors are out there. So these companies need to have at least two or three people in their organization to do the assessment with the company. So as far as I heard, all of these 80 people, 80 firms have been booked for 12 months ahead now. They already been
I can
swamped. Yeah, they are already
I can
swamped.
imagine.
Yeah, they are already swamped. So now what happens to so many people? They want to know. A lot of people have come into the market. Oh, we are selling templates. We are selling you tools. We are telling you this. You have this. You are fully compliant. You have this GRC tool; it'll tell you everything like a magic. So people are lured into all these different entities that are flooding the market with services and offerings, and that's where the biggest challenge arises. So readiness assessment is one thing that people can adopt. They can engage people from the CMC ecosystem. There are about, I think, 1,500 CCPs, certified professionals, who can help them with the assessment readiness, and there are a lot of registered practitioners also who can help them with that. So about nearly 2 to 3,000, about 3,000 to 4,000 people are out there who can help organizations get to a readiness state. So they can leverage that, and then they can go ahead and then do this. So everything is right now being approved by the government, even the trainers. We are one of the few trainers out in we are the only one in San Francisco Bay to authorized to train CMMC, and and they are not going to be authorizing any more trainers for the next 18 months after the release of the publication of the rules. So we are only next year, in 2028 or sometime, they'll open up for for trainers. So the market is pretty, the resources are very confined. The opportunities are huge. So it's the first time this is happening. Nobody knows how it's going to be. So it's a greenfield market, at least $1 billion out there, because yeah, 300,000 companies, even if it is about four people in an organization, is about 1.2 million of them need to know about this. Apart from that, the agencies need to know about CMC, how to do. So the humongous amount of people need to know how to manage and deploy CMMC successfully. So the demand is pretty huge. So we got to wait and see how it pans out.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Thanks for sharing that. So you guys have an amazing opportunity as a
I
company.
guess so. We are all hoping, because see, we have been waiting for almost 6 to 7 years. We have made a lot of investment into our technology portfolio, training and certifications, and so far we have not seen anything really happening. Everybody's kind of cautious, waiting for the government approval. See, as for DoD estimation, they say for a small business it costs an average of about $100,000 to become CMC level 2 ready. So it's a small business, $100,000. It's a pretty big amount for any company to invest in, but that's the reality. That's what they say. And it takes between 12 to 18 months to fully get compliant. So because you have to implement all the technology and do a lot of things with it. So it's not a one size fits all kind of a solution. So that is what it takes. And also, I've been hearing talks from the folks in the DoD that they're planning to. There is a bill that's been passed that kind of offsets $50,000. They can take tax credit for CMC expenditure for small businesses less than 50 people. So that is something people can leverage. They're waiting to see what those regulations are. Actually, that is why people are kind of waiting right now, and also uh, they are letting the agencies decide how to fund the small businesses for certification, because it's going to cost them around 100 to 150K, sometimes 250K. But these people are getting projects worth 5, 10 million, 20 million. So if they do this, they get that project. It's a good deal, right? So they're kind of working out on how this could be funded or how it could be, passed on. So one of the best ways to get to that spot is to be ready. So if they get ready and show that they are ready to be assessed, then you know it can happen quickly.
So just so, and I apologize if I missed this. So it is a requirement as of now, but it seems like a lot of the requirements are still being kind of laid out and everything. So if I'm a company coming in and I want to make a bid for a government contract and I am not compliant currently, is the government allowing me to, say, work with a company such as you to start to get compliant and have a plan to get compliant, and then if I am I allowed to bid on a contract, or do I have to be at least level one compliant before I can actually be awarded a contract?
Yeah, the most of it what you said is true. That is why readiness assessments and gap assessments are on the rise now. We can help any organization see where they are currently stand on the current situation with level one and level two. What we do is we tend to get all the companies self-ready, self-assessed for level one, make sure they have all the documentations. Though it is not required for level one, we ensure that they have all the documentations, all the evidences gathered for level one so that they are ready. There are about 15 controls that we need to do for that. So that we keep it ready for them. And then, because there is such a huge demand and need, they cannot expect everybody to be certified before they can award a contract. But the rule does say that at the time of the award, they should need to be certified. So, but there are ways in which you can prove that you can get certified. If you prove that you are ready, even if there are no assessors to do the assessment for the company, the DoD will do that audit. The DCMA can do the audit and push them through. So when we do the readiness assessment, what we do is we help them enter the SPURS score. That is a reporting database where they need to enter all the scores for the practice controls. So we make sure they are compliant with those scores, and then we provide all the evidences required for that as well. So that way they are very much ready and they can show that to the agencies. So they have a very high likely or to get the projects pretty quickly. This is I can kind of tell you what really happened in Iowa. There was a small business firm, an aeronautical firm that they were supplying parts for the aircraft industry there. They did the CMC level two. It's a small 9 people organization. They spent around $60,000 to do the level two assessment readiness, and then they got it. Then when they showed that everything is pretty much ready, then immediately they got somebody to government facilitated and got them to do the level two assessment, and they got through that, and they immediately got a project worth 4.5 million. And now they have almost crossed 25 to 30 million in projects. They have been getting recurring projects right after
That's
that.
fantastic. So without question, even though it's a fairly significant investment to become
Yeah.
certified, it's very lucrative, obviously, to become that and to be able to have that, you know, in with the bidding and to be able to be awarded, these huge multi-million dollar contracts.
Yeah, see, we are kind of extending it further. We are not just telling the. Of course, we are focusing a lot on the defense industrial base. We are also dealing with a lot of commercial entities. We are telling them the same story. You don't need to be CMC certified per se, but it is so important that you implement the CMC controls in your organization because this is going to catch on like fire. Because as of now, the financial industry and the healthcare are going to adopt CMMC. They're all private, they're commercial, but they're going to adopt CMMC. So when they adopt, the framework is going to be implemented. We are not going to be dealing with sensitive COI or FCI data, but it's going to be healthcare data and PII data. It's going to replace it with it, but the same level of security needs to be provided for it. So commercial entities are the same with the financial sector. They have a lot of SEC filings that needs to be protected. So they can adopt the same level of security for that. So the law firms are also now looking at it, and insurance companies are looking at it as a likely candidate for them to adopt so that they can ensure that anybody they are dealing with, their information is fully protected.
That's a really good point. Have you seen, as you've gone through and preparing companies for CMMC assessment, have you seen a common weak spot that's kind of stood out to you when you've gone through and you've helped these companies,
Yeah,
or
many
is it
of
just
them.
dependent upon the organization?
No, I think this is consistent across a lot of companies that I've seen, almost every one of them. The first thing is the importance of CMMC. They don't really realize the importance and the nature of the complexity involved in it. Many of them, since this is not something new, it is it's been in existence for a long time. If you look at the CMC control, that 800 was in existence since mid 2000. So they are already familiar with it. They said, "Oh, we already know that. What's the big deal for us?" So that's the casual approach people take. They don't give it that much, but they don't realize it's the same NIST control, but it's got an entirely different spin now. You got to make sure you prove every little bit down the chain. You show, like if you are implement, we got to implement say secure engineering principles is one of the controls we need to implement. We got to show how we are implementing that within your application development framework. Now, show me the scripts, open it up, and show me how secure they are. When it comes to that, they are not able to do it. So that is what I'm seeing. People are a little casual about it. They don't really feel, and many of them, they think, I already know it. And there's a lot of free resources, people, the government offers, oh, you can go get this free resource to do, but that's the most dangerous thing to do, because nothing, it's not really recommended to go and take those free, because you're out of context with what free resource you're using and how valid or real it is for you. So there's a lot of challenges related to that. So it's always good to go with an established firm or people from the ecosystem to give you the right advice as you navigate this spectrum.
No, that's good. So yeah, so it sounds to me like you're almost describing that there needs to be a little bit of a like a culture shift and a
Yeah,
mindset because
yeah,
yeah, like I said, I have a little bit of a well, I have a lot of a military background and I've dealt with various government contractors and things. So I could see how that mentality, which is kind of been with the government in general, could apply to this as well.
yeah.
And with the stringent framework that you guys are going to be under and the strict requirements, it definitely seems like there needs to be a mindset change to
Yeah,
take
that
it
is
serious.
precisely that is what it is. It's a cultural shift and a mind shift that needs to happen. Even in fact, Katie Harrington, she is the chief of the CMMC protocol in the Department of Defense. And that was the very first word she said. People have to think different. It's a cultural shift. It's something you got to embed within yourself and accept it, because I think accountability is the most important factor in all of this. So when you say you do it, you got to show that you do it, and you got to prove that you have done it. So without that, nothing can go forward in any aspect. So, and it's a good thing, when it comes to cybersecurity and you're trying to secure, whether even if it's a highly sensitive information, or even if it is your personal assets, it's always good to have these techniques and principles in place, to really secure yourself, because today, the internet is something, everybody is in the internet, right? And
Mhm.
it's totally unsecure. Anybody can see what is happening. People can intercept communications. People can see what you're communicating, where you're going. Everything can be got from your digital behavior. So how you protect that matters, whether you're working for a top notch security firm or otherwise. We got to adopt and have some internal capabilities in securing your own digital presence and your own data. So that is very important. So that's what CMC helps you to do.
That's excellent. Um, yeah, we've already been talking for about a half hour. It's been great talking to you. We probably got about 15 or so minutes left in the podcast. So let's shift a little bit toward AI because I know you kind of mentioned at the beginning
Mhm.
that you've already utilized AI
Yep.
within your job, within your industry. Can you kind of
Mhm.
explain what that has looked like for you guys so far and how you've utilized that?
Yeah, exactly. See, we had to, a lot of the CMMC is derived from the NIST publications. And when you're looking at the NIST publications, there are a lot of embedded content within a particular practice control and how it is implemented. Like, access control is kind of, it comes in from a NIST 853, and which in turn goes back to FISMA regulations, and then you have their publication of F199 and 200. So it traverses through several publications, and if you are going to learn this for the first time, and you're going to read through this document, and the way the it's written, they're all legal. It's very difficult to interpret that. It's something very obvious, but they'll put it in legal terms. So it's very difficult to get that information and understand what they're trying to mean. So we built a language model to look at that data, translate that in a more human readable format, therefore go back to all the references across the board. So that is what we did. We did an exhaustive, because there's humongous data we have to deal with, tons and tons of data. So we had to go through entire regulation stack, the entire archive, NARA archive, CUI archives, to pull out everything and then present us with the information that we need to filter it out and use it. So without AI, it's impossible. So we actually built a language model to decipher that data. And as part of that, what we also did was we made a very innovative thing in our training. We are the only one in the world to deliver the practice controls, represent practice controls as a mind mapping. So I guess you would have seen how mind mapping works. It's kind of it's all diagrams all around. So we use very creative diagrams, pictures, very engaging pictures, very colorful, and we put the whole practice control in terms of a mind mapping. And then we built an entirely different content for each control. Very exhaustive content we developed over the past 3 years, and the result is a conversation based on that particular control between two assessors, how they would teach that control to a student and how they would implement it at a client site, and what are the pitfalls to look for. Very engaging, 15-20 minutes of conversational piece. So each conversation we took weeks and weeks to, we developed the entire, and then we built the entire conversation piece. So it's about 15-20 minutes. That's a mind mapping thing we did. And then we also, using that information, we also created another set of demystifying videos, short 5 to 7 minutes short duration, but very core to the control, how to implement. That is also first of its kind. We built it. So we started building all these based on the language models that we internally developed. And now students have a wealth of information. Nobody can have. We are the our training is priced very aggressively compared to so many other people, and we give the maximum amount of help in terms of mind mapping videos, demystifying videos, and then we put a lot of study material content, briefing content, so people using our system can never fail. They 100% they can do they can get through the exams if they commit themselves to it. So we are also there with them every step of the way.
That's really fantastic to hear. I mean, you guys have really embraced AI, and I mean, just hearing you describe that, the amount of time savings that's offered you is, I'm sure, remarkable. Um, in your opinion, so it sounds like you've developed this all in house, correct? You didn't use any third parties, is that correct?
No, no, we developed the AI part in house. We also built an enclave, an Accurus cloud enclave in AWS Marketplace. That, or the unique nature of that enclave is, see, one of the biggest challenges for CMMC is trying to assess a customer's IT system. It's very challenging when you try to do it because they have so many MSPs they are very tightly ingrained with them. But then when you're trying to build this security profile and their boundaries, it becomes very challenging. So we built an enclave where we put together the complete tools and resources that are required for a very safe environment, and we also packed it with complete templates and documentation. So everything is built fully, and we also built AI agents within our enclave that can help them stay compliant. So that's going to tell you if you are non-compliant. The AI agent will tell you, hey, you're not supposed to do this. If they send an email to some other people not supposed to, the AI is going to find out and say you're not supposed to send this to this. So there is somebody watching all your activities within the domain. So we have built that as well, and it's now available in AWS Marketplace.
That's really impressive. Is there anything that you can think of off the top of your head that maybe you're already working on, or something in your mind that you feel that, like a process or something within your business that could be done better by utilizing AI that you are not currently using so far? Is there anything you can think of? Like, what's the next thing that the AI may help?
Yeah, we are, what we did was just the tip of an iceberg. There's so much we can do with AI, especially if we start building the connection. Because one of the challenges that we have is we have heterogeneous content within our enclave. We don't stick to one size fits all. We use different products, and also we are integrating with customers' custom applications. So we are building these AI that can traverse across different applications and pull out the information, right? So currently, the APIs are not available for all of the products that stack that we are using. It is available in like Google. We are using Google Workspace. The entire Google spectrum is covered, but then we have other products as well, which we are working with the vendors and trying to build those. So I think in a short time, probably when all these vendors have all these APIs, then we'd be able to build an LLM that can traverse across different applications and pull out the information. So there's a lot we can do at every stage. And the nice thing about it is even the vendors are building their own suite of AI capabilities within their product stack. It's kind of going really fast, both sides. So balancing both together and integrating is a challenge, but that's what we are looking at.
Absolutely. And it sounds like you guys have a really exciting future ahead of you. It's going to be very busy, and it's going to be a lot
Sure.
of change, but it's also a lot of opportunity
Yep.
too. What do you see this space looking like in the next 3 to 5 years? How do you see all of this playing out as it develops?
I think the CMMC is going to be playing a bigger role everywhere because, as I said, it's going to be the insurance companies are already planning on adopt. We are already working with some insurance companies where if they do the level one with us, their premiums come down for cybersecurity insurance. So they are very interested to have this as across the board. So I think since the another big advantage is the CMC is not meant for large companies. It's meant for even one man organization. So the smaller you are, the easier it is for you to implement CMC and be compliant, and you'll be getting all the huge projects you will be getting because you have an environment that is fully compliant and certified. So that's a big advantage. So I see CMC spreading across. And the other nice thing is other countries are also interested. So I'm already getting calls from Israel, Middle East, from India, from South Korea, from Japan. They are also rapidly deploying the same CMC framework. Of course, they're going to replace the COI data with their own internal sensitive data, but the framework as such, they wanted to adopt. Canada has already adopted this, and we are still helping. I mean, we are also engaged, working with Canadian companies, with their needs for CMC as well. So it's a global phenomena. It's going to grow very rapidly, and as I said, it's a $1 billion greenfield market. A lot of players have space to play in. So the sooner you get in, uh, the quicker you can reap the benefits of it. Because this is going to be for a short time.
Yeah,
Then it will get saturated soon.
right. No, that's great, and it kind of segues me into my next question. So if I'm a small business owner listening to this podcast right now, who maybe this kind of scares me a little bit, just the unknown of it. What's the first baby step that I should take tomorrow to be CMMC compliant? What do you recommend that business do?
Yeah, the easiest and the quickest thing to do is they can easily get CMC level 1 certified. It's easy to do, 15 controls, and we do it at any very easily for the people. And they need not make a very big investment as such. They can take small baby steps like getting to know what CMC, because the first and most important thing is we want each and every organization and in this journey first to get to know what it is. We don't want them to reach out to all the service providers and engage with services right off the bat. First, you get to know what it is. So we have programs that will teach them what it is so that they understand what they need to look for. And then we help them through the journey every step of the way, and we work with and we also as I said, we work with the government. We also work with you know one of the things that we are telling every company is you should be CMC is not an expense, it's an investment. So if you whatever be your revenue for the year, at least 1% think of consider 1% of your total revenue towards CMC, whether it can be training, it can be in early adoption. We are also planning to use our enclave in a tenant mode so that it's even cheaper for our people to come in and use it. So many different ways we are planning to help everybody. So they have to take the first step. That's the most important thing. So if they take the first step, we are with them along the way.
That's fantastic. So kind of concluding right now. So where's the best place for listeners to connect with you in Step Ahead Solutions? I'll give you a chance to plug here at the end.
Oh, sure. Well, we are publishing videos every week. The CMMC we are videos every week. We are publishing it, so that's the best place. You can subscribe to our channel. We have our. You can always reach out to me. My email is kjoseph at stepaheadsolution.com. Anybody can reach out to me, and I'm in LinkedIn as well. They can connect me through LinkedIn. And the most important thing is nobody need to get scared about anything. I mean, whatever we do for you, there's no commitment or obligation or anything. We just love to help people get to know it. So it doesn't matter if it takes time, but we want to make sure people get the right information. So we are more than willing to spend our time with you and help you through. So my time is more in making sure everybody get to know what it is. So we'll be there to help you every step of the way, and there's absolutely no obligations. So whatever technology you have, whoever your ESPs you have, you can retain and do. But we will give you the right guidance and help with how you can navigate your organization successfully in this venture.
Excellent. Well, Robert, thank you so much for joining today. This was really valuable for me. I know this isn't a space that myself and I'm sure a lot of the listeners out there are really that familiar with. Very
Thank you.
interesting. Thank you for just educating us on where the industry is right now on the government contracting side. And as Robert mentioned, he just gave you his contact information if you'd like to get a hold of him, if you're going down this avenue and you're going to want to do some type of contracting, you're going to need this. So again, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join us today. It was great. I enjoyed it.
Thank you, Jacob. Thank you for having this conversation. It was really good, and I really appreciate talking to you about it. And I love to talk about CMMC and its adoption. And we really want to help small businesses. They are the most vulnerable, and it doesn't matter whether they have funding or not. We are there to help them every step of the way, and we can help them also get funding to do this project for them. So we are there.
Excellent. Well, thank you again, sir, and have yourself a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.